Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. First up, I tried a new recipe for an apple and brie stuffed chicken. All of the recipes from today's video will be linked in my description box below. To get started, we're going to make the glaze for the chicken. I'm going to use this measuring cup. You can use a bowl. I'm going to add in the maple syrup, Dijon mustard, minced garlic, and dried thyme, and I'm going to whisk that until it's combined really well and then set that to the side. Next, I'm going to start preparing my chicken. So what I've got here are 2 chicken breasts, and all I did was take my knife and butterfly the chicken, or basically make a pocket. Just be careful you don't go all the way through and make cutlets. I've got my oven preheating to 400 degrees. In this skillet, I have a little bit of oil and just a small pat of butter. It's over medium-high heat. Once it's hot, I'm going to add my chicken breasts. Now, I seasoned the chicken on the outside of the chicken and on the inside of the pocket with some salt and pepper. I'm going to sear the chicken for about 3 minutes or so on each side. You don't have to worry about cooking it all the way through at this point. I've got an apple that I'm going to cut into thin slices, and then you'll need some brie cheese as well, and I'm going to cut that in slices as well. Now, the recipe says at this point to place the apple and brie slices into the chicken, and then we're going to brush the chicken with that glaze, and then this is going to go into the preheated oven and bake for about 20 to 25 minutes or so until the chicken is at least 165 degrees internal temperature. This is what it looked like when it came out of the oven, and what I did was took my brush and got some of the extra glaze from the pan and brushed it over the chicken, and here is what it looked like at that point. So for my side dish, I made my Aunt Sue's corn and green bean casserole. This was yummy. I'll be sharing this in an upcoming Friendsgiving collab, so keep an eye out for that video. I'm going to make some air fryer crescent rolls. I saw these on Tamara's channel at Southern Wife Everyday Life. I'll have it linked down below. To the air fryer basket, I'm going to spray it with some cooking spray, and then I'm going to take my crescent roll dough and remove it from the can. Now at this point, instead of unrolling the dough and rolling up the little triangles, I'm just going to slice the roll into 4 pieces. Now I'm doing 4 because I'm using the small can of crescent roll dough, and that's how many it makes is 4 rolls. So once I've got my round sliced, I'm going to place them into the air fryer. This is going to cook at 330 degrees for about 6 or 7 minutes. Just keep an eye on it. You may need to flip them halfway, but once they're golden brown and the dough is cooked all the way through, they are ready. All right, here are the plates. I didn't realize this until watching this back. It's a little brown, but nevertheless, it was delicious. So that corn and green bean casserole was yummy. Those crescent rolls, I mean, how can you go wrong with crescent roll dough? Now, the chicken. I liked the chicken. The glaze on that chicken was absolutely delicious. I mean, if nothing else, just cook the chicken and make that glaze. It was yummy. I liked the brie and apple part of it, but I felt like the ratio of chicken to apple and brie, there was too much chicken. I don't know how to correct that though, because if I would have added more brie or apples, I mean, I don't know if you saw in the previous clip, like how thick the chicken was just with the little bit of apple and brie that I did add. So it would be like so thick you could barely eat it. So like I said, I don't really know in my mind yet how I would fix that. I mean, I liked it. It was good. I just wanted more the brie and apple flavor with the chicken, if that makes sense. I'm kind of tossing around in my head next time, just taking like a chicken cutlet and like maybe adding the brie and apple on top. But then I'm not sure how I would add the maple glaze. So if you all have any ideas, leave it down below. But this was really good. Like I said, the glaze on the chicken, and once you got a bite of the brie and the apple, the glazed chicken, it was delicious. I just feel like it needs just a little bit of tweaking or finessing for my particular preference. But that was dinner this night. Yummy. Dinner the next night was off meal plan, but I didn't feel like cooking what was on the meal plan for this day, and I had some things in my fridge that I wanted to use up. So I decided to make my husband a turkey cranberry club, and then I made myself what I'm going to call a California club wrap. Now for his sandwich, I was inspired by a sandwich that Valerie made over at Life with Valerie Rose. I'll have her channel linked down below. I didn't do exactly what she did, but I took inspiration from her. So here's what I'm going to use to make his sandwich. First, I need to use up this rye bread. This is the Lewis half loaf. And then I have this little container of cranberry honey mustard that I need to use up. So I'm going to use that along with some mayonnaise. I cooked some bacon, just baked this in the oven. And then we've got some tomato, some sprouts, sliced cheddar cheese, and turkey breasts. So what I've done here is I've got my 2 slices of bread. On one side, I added some of that cranberry honey mustard. I added mayonnaise on the other side, and then I just added the remaining ingredients, and that was the sandwich. For my wrap, I'm going to use some of that same sliced cheddar cheese, as well as one of these flat out wraps. I really like these. I'm going to use a fresh avocado that I will slice up, honey mustard, some lettuce, tomato, and then I was going to use some turkey, but I didn't have any left after making his sandwich, so I'm just going to use ham. And all I did was lay down one of those flat out wraps, add the honey mustard and the other ingredients, and rolled it up. And I'd made this, I think the day before for us for lunches this week. This was a new recipe. It was a French dressing pasta salad. I'll have it linked down below. It was good. It was okay. It wasn't like my favorite. There was nothing wrong with it. I just have other pasta salad recipes that I prefer over this one. But I recommend you give it a try. It was basically just cooked pasta, French dressing, sour cream, some chopped Canadian bacon, and peas. And I've never had Canadian bacon in a pasta salad, but it was good. I would definitely do that again. And here are the plates. So we've got Gary's sandwich and my wrap and the pasta salad. And I enjoyed my wrap, and Gary loved his sandwich. He said it was delicious. For dinner the next night, I tried a new recipe for slow cooker Korean beef tacos. We absolutely love these. Highly recommend. This recipe is from Six Sisters Stuff. So here I've got a sirloin steak. I'm going to cut it into thin slices and toss it with some cornstarch. And then I'm going to place it into a crock pot liner that I sprayed with some cooking spray. Next, I chopped up some onions and sprinkled those over the beef. And then for the sauce for the beef, here's what we're going to use. We've got some sesame oil, rice vinegar, minced garlic, ground ginger, soy sauce, and brown sugar. So I'm going to combine all of the ingredients into a bowl. And then once it's combined really well, I'm going to pour it over the meat and onions and then give that a stir. Here's what it looks like at this point. I'm going to place my lid on it, and you can cook this on low for 6 to 8 hours, or you can cook it on high. I did it on high for 3 to 4 hours, but I did go in about every hour or so and give it a stir. To go along with these, I decided to do some sweet potatoes. So in this bowl, I've got some sweet potatoes that I washed really well, peeled them, and cut them into chunks. I'm going to add some brown sugar, salt and pepper, smoked paprika, garlic powder, cumin, and cayenne pepper. And I kind of loosely followed a recipe. I'll have it linked down in the description box below. I tossed these sweet potatoes with a little bit of oil and all of those seasonings. I placed them into the bottom of my air fryer basket, and I cooked these at 400 degrees for about 25 minutes or so. I shook them halfway through. How long it takes to cook them really just depends on how thick you cut your sweet potatoes. Just cook them until they're tender. Now, here's what they look like. They do look a little black, but that's just the brown sugar and sweet potato caramelizing, and those little blackened bits are so yummy. All right, here's the finished Korean beef. I'm going to give it one final stir, and I don't know if you can tell, it's a little hard to see, but especially around the edges, it definitely sticks. That's why I highly recommend you go through and stir it, like I said, at least every hour. So to make the tacos, I'm going to use some cilantro, some shredded cabbage. I just had this coleslaw mix on hand, and then I've got some shredded carrots. For the condiments, I'm going to set these out, and we can just use whatever we like. I've got some sriracha mayonnaise. I have some of this kimchi mayonnaise. I found this, I think, at Home Goods. And then I made some homemade yum yum sauce for dinner for another night. I just set that out. I'll have that recipe down below. It's so delicious. And then we've got some sesame seeds. All right, here's my plate. Gary ate dinner later. I took my tortilla shells and just warmed them up in a dry skillet on top of the stove, and then added the Korean beef and some of the toppings, and these were delicious. We'll definitely make them again. So good. For dinner the next night, I made a chicken bacon ranch pizza. I had a few things that I needed to use up, and I figured this was a great way to do that. So first, I had this package of pizza crust mix from Walmart in my pantry that I need to use. Just follow this according to the package instructions. It's super easy. You basically just have to add water, and it's really budget friendly. I also have some diced chicken breasts. I'd cooked this up earlier in the week with some chicken that I have left over. I just didn't want it to go to waste. And then I had some semi-homemade ranch dressing that needed to be used up. This is so easy. I just used the Hidden Valley Ranch mix and follow the package instructions to basically just add mayonnaise and milk. And then I've got some crumbled bacon pieces. I get this from Sam's Club. And then some shredded cheese. While the oven was preheating, I was digging around in the fridge, and I had a Roma tomato that I needed to use up and some green onions, so I'm just going to chop both of those. And here is the par-baked pizza crust. Again, just followed the instructions. Next, I added some of the ranch dressing, and then my chicken, bacon, the tomatoes, green onions, and then the shredded cheese. And then on top, I just added a little extra of all of the ingredients just so you can kind of see it through the cheese. I'm going to place this back into the oven and bake it according to the package instructions until it's done. Earlier, when I was digging through my fridge, I found this little garlic dipping sauce from Papa John's that we had, and I wanted to use it up. And I remember I've seen Caitlin at Caitlin's Kitchen. When she makes homemade pizza, she will brush butter or garlic butter on the outer crust of her pizza. And I've done it once before, but it's been a long time. And so when I saw this, I was like, yes, I need to do that. So when the pizza was out of the oven, I just took some of that garlic sauce and brushed it on the outer crust, and that was it. So here are the plates. We've got some of the pizza, veggies on the side, and then I dipped my veggies in some ranch dressing, and I got some of the Marzetti blue cheese for Gary to dip his veggies in. This was delicious. I love this pizza. It's my favorite kind of pizza, honestly, by far. I just love all of the chicken, bacon, ranch, cheese. I just love that combination. For dinner the next night, I tried another new recipe for honey sriracha salmon bites. I've had this on the meal plan for seriously like 2 months off and on and just have not made it. And I was like, I've got to get this made. I'm going to start out with the side dish. The salmon won't take very long at all. I've got the oven preheating to 425 degrees. Here I've got some carrots that I washed and peeled and cut into pieces. Toss them with a little bit of oil and salt. I'm going to bake these for about 20 minutes or so until they are tender. Once they're there, I'm going to pull the cookie sheet out, add some chopped broccoli, and then I'm going to combine the sauce ingredients. So here's what we're going to need for the sauce. And remember, the recipe will be linked down below so you can get the exact measurements. We've got sesame oil, soy sauce, rice vinegar, minced garlic, sriracha, and brown sugar. So I'm going to combine all of that and then toss it with the vegetables, place the vegetables back into the oven for about 7 to 10 minutes until the broccoli is cooked all the way through. And once that's done, I will add some sesame seeds just as a little garnish. And for the other side, I apologize, I don't have a picture of the original packaging. This is the frozen brown rice from Trader Joe's. I'd taken it out of the box and I had one package in my freezer that I needed to use up. I'm going to cook this according to the package instructions, which basically you just cut a little hole in the bag and microwave it for I think like 4 minutes. So for the salmon, I've got some salmon fillets that have the skin off. You can leave the skin on or you can take it off yourself. I cut the salmon into just like little chunks, bite-sized pieces. I'm going to season the salmon with some salt, pepper, and I decided to use some of the Kinder's brown sugar garlic. I'm going to toss that together. Now I'm going to mix up the glaze ingredients. We've got some minced garlic, sriracha. The recipe calls for fresh lime juice. I didn't have any, but I did have some oranges on hand that I needed to use up, so I'm going to use some orange juice, honey, and then butter, oil, and soy sauce. I'm going to combine all that until it's really mixed together well. Now this salmon goes really fast. It does not take very long at all. I've got some oil in this skillet. It's over about medium-high heat. Now to be honest, my skillet could have been a little more hot. I didn't get as good of a sear on the salmon as I wanted to, but that's fine. And plus I overloaded the pan just a little bit, but I didn't want to do a second batch. I was feeling lazy. You're just going to sear the salmon on all sides, and how long it takes really depends on how you like your salmon. We like ours a little more on the medium side. If you like yours well done, of course, you'll need to cook it a couple extra minutes. So once the salmon is seared to my liking, I'm going to remove it from the skillet, set it to the side, and I decided to wipe out the remaining oil in the pan. I've turned the heat down to low. I'm going to add my glazed ingredients and whisk it. And then you are going to just simmer this for a couple minutes until the glaze is thickened. Once it's thick, you're going to add the salmon back in, give it a toss, and cook it for just maybe another minute or two to let that glaze set, and that's it. Here's what the salmon looks like when it's done. And then here is that homemade yum yum sauce I mentioned when I was talking about the Korean beef tacos. This is so delicious. I love it so much more than the bottled. The bottled's good too, but I like the homemade. I will have my recipe that I used typed out in the description box below. So here's a picture of my plate. Gary ate later this night. Got some of the rice, the vegetables, the salmon, and then I drizzled some of that yum yum sauce over the salmon and added some chopped green onions. And this was so, so good. We really enjoyed this dinner. For dinner the next night, I tried a new recipe for chicken tetrazzini. I saw this on Life with Valerie Rose as well. I'll again have that linked down below. So to get started, I've got some chicken tenders. You can use chicken breasts. You could also use just leftover rotisserie chicken or cooked up diced chicken. I'm going to season the chicken with some of the Auntie Nona's everything seasoning. And just to make it easy this night, I'm just going to cook the chicken in the air fryer until it's at least 165 degrees, and then I'll shred it up. In this skillet, I've got some diced onions, sliced baby portobello mushrooms, and some minced garlic that I cooked on about medium-low heat for maybe 8 to 10 minutes until the vegetables were tender. I'm going to set those to the side. In that same skillet, I did not wipe it out. I'm going to add in my butter and allow that to melt, and this is over about medium-low heat. Once the butter is melted, I'm going to sprinkle in the flour and whisk that and cook that for a minute or two. I've got the oven preheating to 350 degrees. Now, the recipe Valerie used did not call for this, but I had some of this Chardonnay. It's alcohol-free. It's been in my fridge. I needed to use it up, and I've seen other chicken tetrazzini recipes that use white wine, so I added just maybe about a quarter cup. Once I've added the wine, I'm going to whisk it and then add in my chicken broth, or in this case, I'm just using some water and chicken bouillon powder. I'm going to whisk that and cook that for just a couple minutes until it is thickened. Next, I'm going to add in the sour cream. And then I had some heavy cream on hand, so that's what I'm going to use. I think the recipe may call for half and half. But either way, you could cut the whipping cream with some milk and you'd have half and half. So once I've got that whisked in, I'm going to add in my seasonings. So I'm going to do some garlic powder and onion powder, salt and pepper, just season it to taste. I'm going to stir all those seasonings in. And then I'm going to add in my cheese. Now, for something like this, I would recommend you shredding your own cheese. But of course, if you want to use the bag, you can use the bagged. I've got some white cheddar cheese. Now, Valerie said in her recipe when she made this that she decided to add in some additional cheese and to kind of bump up that cheese flavor. I felt the same, so I added mozzarella cheese like she did. And then I added in just a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese. I'm going to whisk that until it's combined and then give this one final taste so that you can adjust your seasonings. Once it's where I want it to be, I'm going to add my sauteed onions and mushrooms back in. Next, I'm going to add in my pasta. I cook this according to the package instructions. You can use whatever pasta you prefer. I like spaghetti, so that's what I use. And then I like peas in my chicken tetrazzini, so I'm going to add in some frozen peas. I'm going to stir all of that until it is well combined, and then I am going to add in the chicken. Now, like I said, this is just the chicken tenders that I seasoned earlier and cooked in the air fryer. Here's what the mixture looks like when it's done. I placed it into a greased casserole dish, and then I think the recipe Valerie used called for you to add breadcrumbs on top. You can totally do that, but I just added some of the extra shredded cheddar cheese and mozzarella cheese. So I'm going to bake this in the preheated oven for about 30 to 35 minutes until it's good and bubbly and the cheese starts to get brown. Here's a picture of my plate. Gary ate later this evening. I've got some of the chicken tetrazzini, and then I just did a quick side salad. That chicken tetrazzini was so good. I know this might sound odd, but they used to make chicken tetrazzini when I was in school, and most of the kids hated it, but I actually look forward to that day. I really liked it. I wish I could find like a copycat cafeteria style chicken tetrazzini. I'm on the quest for that recipe. This was close, but I feel like there's something missing that they added in school, but this was delicious. For the last dinner in this week's video, I made some homemade chicken tenders. Now, I had it on the meal plan to try a new recipe to cook chicken tenders in the air fryer, but my little brother was spending the weekend with us, and I didn't want to try that on him and it not turn out good, if that makes sense. So I just went with what I know, and I'll try the air fryer version a little bit later. So what I did was marinated some chicken tenders overnight in buttermilk. And here in this Ziploc bag, I've got some all-purpose flour with seasonings. Use whatever seasonings you prefer. I'm using some seasoned salt, a little bit of cayenne, paprika, and garlic powder. I'm going to take the chicken tenders, remove them from the buttermilk, add them to the bag, and toss them, just shake them really well until the chicken is coated. Once it's there, I'm going to place the chicken tenders on some wire racks and allow them to sit for about 15 minutes or so. This just allows the flour to kind of soak into the chicken so the breading doesn't fall off as easily. Next, I'm going to fry my chicken in some vegetable oil just at 350 degrees until the internal temperature of the chicken is at least 165 degrees. Now, here I made some homemade honey mustard and ranch dressing. The honey mustard is just mayonnaise, mustard, and honey. And then the ranch dressing, again, I just use the Hidden Valley ranch packet and follow the instructions. To go along with this, I just decided to make some shells and cheese. My little brother loves macaroni and cheese, so I knew I couldn't go wrong if I served that on the side. All right, here is the plate. I've got some of the chicken tenders, the mac and cheese, and then I chose the honey mustard for dipping. All right, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.